So what has been happening with you since we last met? For me, I've turned 1 year older. Can you tell my age? I usually joke that I'm still 28. That was the last birthday I really celebrated for myself. After that, the focus naturally has shifted to my children's birthdays. Both of them are born early in the year, so January has become very much their season. But officially, I'm now 47. Honestly, I love getting older. For me, aging feels like a blessing, a deep gratitude for life. And with every year, I notice how I'm getting better and better at focusing on what actually creates value. Not just doing more, but enjoying being more. Early in my life, it was much more about performance, getting as much done as possible, delivering, achieving. But I think aging also comes with an invitation to slow down. Partly because physics simply isn't the same anymore. I recently listened to a talk by a Harvard researcher. I can't recall the name right now, but if I find it, I add it to the show notes. What they shared really stayed with me. Our brains actually change as we age, and that change equips us more and more for mentoring, guiding, and advising, rather than constantly performing. And I love that. It makes me feel like I'm actually stepping more fully into a phase of my life where I can truly bloom as a coach and mentor. That realization gives me confidence. Confidence in what I'm doing and in what I'm building. So before we begin, I just wanted to pause for a moment and say thank you. I genuinely grateful for all the comments, messages, and reflections I've received on the recent episodes. I read every single one, and they truly mean a lot. These conversations don't stop when the episodes end. They continue with you, in your reflections, in your messages, and your stories. So if this podcast resonates with you, I'd love for you to stay connected. Follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. And if you feel like it, leave a comment or a short review. It helps others to find their way. All right, let's begin. So, as you might have guessed, January is a bit of a life celebration month for me and my family. So we carry the festive feeling from Christmas and New Year a little longer than most. And at the same time, I naturally move into this reflective. For me, reflection is rarely about completely changing everything. It's much more about constant improvements, small adjustments, fine-tuning. Yes, there are moments in life where everything shifts, where you need like clean break. But right now, I'm not there. Having had a more relaxed schedule, more time with family, and even more time to sit and paint has helped me to step out of my usual routines and habits for a while. And now, as I slowly return, I find myself longing for some of them and questioning others. So are they still serving me? Are they still creating the effect I thought they would? This past week hasn't only been my birthday week. It has also included what's often called the Quitter's Day. You may have heard about it. It usually falls on the second Friday of January, roughly 2 weeks after New Year's Eve. That moment when goals set and promises suddenly feel very far away. And I really want you and me to succeed with what we have set out to do. I actually believe we have a much better chance than most. Why? Because we're conscious about what we choose to do and why. There are, of course, many reasons people quit on their goals. One common challenge appears when we set goals that require us to do something fundamentally different from what we've done before. And that means we have to become someone slightly different. Take lifestyle changes, for example. exercising more, eating differently, changing habits. As we talked about before, success becomes far more likely when we connect the goal to identity. Who do I want to be? So starting from that angle makes long-term change much easier to sustain. And that brings me to today's topic, habits. I'm Hanna Zaxmy, your leadership coach, and this podcast is your confidence boost in color. Let's go. Habits are especially powerful when we're working with lifestyle-based goals. Health, well-being, energy, sustainability. Last episode, we talked about values. Values are like signals. They express who you want to be from the inside and out. Habits are how those values show up in real life, day by day, year by year. So now, depending on how much you love repetition, your reaction to this might be either boring or yes, finally, this is good stuff. That's a popular claim that we make between 30,000 and 40,000 decisions every single day. I've even heard numbers as high as 60,000. Well, let's simply say that's a lot. I get tired just thinking about it. How about you? The good news is that most of those decisions don't require active thinking. They're automated, built into habits. We're on autopilot. And that's fantastic, as long as the habit produces the outcome we actually want. When it doesn't, that's your cue to review and adjust. So one of my core values is sustainability. What I'm saying about myself is this. I want to live a life that supports long-term strength and health. Pushing hard in the short term is not my driver. Presence matters more than pace. So for me, sustainability means balance. Take food, for example. I don't restrict myself unnecessarily. I avoid what I'm allergic to, of course, but I don't eliminate sweetness or enjoyment in that sense. Instead, I build habits that support balance. Regular meals, hydration, routines that make healthy choices the default. The same goes for exercises. I've had support in building routines that my body can sustain over time. Routines that reduces the risk of injury rather than pushing me into a break. And yes, I've told you before, I'm a sucker for ticking things off. Using habit tracker during my reflection time helps me to reinforce what I want more of. Movement, fresh air, exercise, small daily wins. Some habits are practical. Others are mental or emotional, but they all come back to the same question. Who do you want to be on your way towards your vision? What do you want to bring into the world through you? So let me pause here and invite you to reflect. What area of your life do you want to adjust right now? Is there something you should stop doing? Is there a habit you already have that's slightly off? Not wrong, just misaligned. What small adjustment could you test next time? I want to share a short client story. Let's call her Maria. Maria recently changed jobs. She is driven, experienced, and defines herself as someone who delivers high-quality solutions, not just quick fixes, but long-term value. She wants to be the best in her field. During our coaching sessions, something became very clear. She had unconsciously decided that she needed to be fully established, the best, within 6 months. And because she had also had a habit of saying yes to every meeting invitation, she spent a lot of time in discussions that didn't lead anywhere. Her stress level increased. After a session, she consciously adjusted her timeline. She added more realistic expectations. She also changed her habits, like checking the intention of the meeting before accepting, being more selective. She noticed that she had also dropped a habit that used to support her, like regular exercise. She reintroduced that and added accountability partner by doing it with a friend. Same ambition, better habits, more support. So I want you to look at your timeline. Is it reasonable? If you were your own best friend reviewing it, what would you say then? And ask yourself, what might make this habit hard to maintain? If it feels too heavy, make it easier. Lower the barrier. Let it grow with you. I shared back in episode 8 how daily reflections has become one of my strongest habits. I've done it for years, but I would never recommend starting the way I practice it now. Start simple, like one question attached to something you already do. For example, while brushing your teeth in the evening, ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? Name 3 things. Or keep a notebook by your bed and write it down before turning off the light. After a few weeks, add another question to it. Habit by habit, layer by layer. When preparing for this episode, I listed my habits, and it became a long list. And still, it's definitely not complete. Some habits I only become aware of when friends or family point them out, and that's a gift. Awareness gives choices. One habit I hold as a mantra is this idea of 1% improvement, small refinement. I don't apply it everywhere anymore. I tried that once. It wasn't sustainable. Now I choose 2 or 3 areas at a time. That makes it enjoyable and doable. There are also habits that, if I don't practice them, I really miss them. My morning routine is one of those. For 3 years now, it's included reading, prayer, and setting intention for the day. When I skip it, I feel the difference. And that's how you know a habit truly supports you. So to summarize today, looking at your goals and the values of who you want to be, which habits support you, which habits would be beneficial to add. What is the simplest way to introduce it? Which habit no longer serves you? Sometimes you can stop a habit outright. Sometimes you need to make it less automatic and add friction, like interrupt the autopilot. This is work I often do with my clients, identifying habits that no longer support their direction and reshaping them. You can absolutely do it yourself. Awareness is the first step. With a coach, it often goes faster, and accountability helps you to stay on course. I leave you with that. Next episode, we continue exploring how to succeed with your vision and your goals. And if you want individual support, please reach out. I'm here. Let's work together. And before we wrap up, one more thing. If you're curious to get inspired by my own daily reflection routine and explore how you might create your version of it, I want to invite you to check out the Confidence Charger. It's a free daily journaling tool designed to support reflection, clarity, and sustainable habits without making it complicated or heavy. You find more information in the description of this episode. Sometimes one small supportive habit is all it takes to create momentum. Until next time, be confident, be you.